And I'm hoping that Ben Goloff from the Center for Biological Diversity will talk a little bit about some of the incredible work that he's been leading on regulatory and executive actions and what we can do no matter how the Georgia races go. Go ahead, Ben.
Thanks, Michelle, and huge thanks, Adrienne and Tamara, for being incredible, brilliant minds in developing so much of this work. And I would just flag a couple things. I think, first of all, to your point, Tamara, there's a great deal of this that Biden has already committed to and that Biden has signed up for, right? It's on his website that on day one, he will end federal leasing for new fossil fuel projects on public lands and waters. On day one, it's there. We are thrilled that he's committed that. He's not alone. All the major presidential candidates on the Democratic side committed to take that action. So that's one of the ones that we're watching as something that we're very ready to celebrate on the other side. Because again, the root cause of climate injustice is fossil fuel extraction and, of course, the underlying racial capitalism that has led to that. So I would just flag that as another one to put up there with killing Keystone XL. Creating a climate justice screening tool. And I would also lift up fossil fuel subsidies. This came up later in the campaign as well, something that Biden has very clearly committed to take action on. And there's pieces of that he can do through executive action, and there's pieces of that he'll need to work with Congress to do. But thank you, Adrienne, for lifting up some of the key parts of the Climate President platform, which again has support from over 500 groups across the country, and many of you are probably on this call, and we thank you for your collaboration. This is a team effort, and if you're not yet on Climate President, please do join us. But we're building this together. This is about building the bigger we and about building a big tent. And I want to come back down from the policy weeds to why does this stuff actually matter, right? The executive action is about implementing existing law, and the existing laws that are in place are about our families, our communities, our ability to breathe. I'm in Los Angeles again, within a couple miles, there are active oil wells, and there is no law here in California restricting where a community, where a household is living in relation to that oil well. But even, looking a little bit more broadly here in California, no new leasing on public lands matters because the Trump administration right now is trying to sell off new leases for the first time in years in the Bakersfield planning region of the BLM. And so this is, wherever you are, you can get the real stories, the real experiences of where that stroke of the pen actually hits home. And the other point I want to emphasize is that this is not about some radical unleashing of new executive powers. I think a lot of people hear executive action, they get a little freaked out. We've been through some rough 4 years, right? And we've been through some pretty phony declarations of climate emergencies. But what is more of an emergency than the climate crisis, right? This is the most devastating crisis we've ever faced. And it intersects with the racial, economic, and all the other justice crises that we've been facing. And so if there ever is a time it's not about creating, phony new law. This is about implementing bedrock laws that haven't been followed through on, that hasn't been the political will to implement to their fullest, that are already on the books. Think about the Endangered Species Act, the Clean Air Act. These are time-tested laws that have been defended and implemented based on, the legal challenges and everything else, and they have prevailed because they are foundational. And many of them were enacted in a Republican presidency. So this is a time to be bold and to be true to the law and to be true to the science and justice underneath them.